Good morning. Welcome to the Clearwater County Council meeting for May 28th, 2024. All public meetings are live streamed and recorded. Any written or verbal information provided may be included in the public documents as per the Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act, FOIP 41. I will now call the meeting to order at 9:01. And we have an agenda before us, and we need some amendments. Go ahead, Deputy Reeve.
Motion to amend the agenda.
Okay, motion to amend the agenda. I'll call the question. All those in favor? So that's carried. Second motion, please.
Yes, please. Thank you, Reeve. I would motion to remove 6.1 as it's my understanding that those candidates have withdrawn.
Yes. So removal of 6.1. That's, and also to change the order of which we will go 7.3 corporate services. We'll bump that up to just the start of new business. So we'll just reverse that order. So corporate services will start at 7.1 instead of 7.3. Any further amendments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. So with that, we have the, oh, go ahead, Deputy Reeve.
Thank you, Reeve. Do you need a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
Correct, thank you.
I would make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Adopt the motion, or adopt the agenda as amended. All those in favor? And that motion's carried, thank you. Moving on to 3.1, the regular council meeting minutes of May 14th, 2024. Any errors or omissions? If not, looking for a motion to thank you, Sydney, Councillor Graham. Motion to accept the May 14th council meeting minutes. Call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. No public hearings today, but we do have a delegation, and our delegation is the Ferrier Community Association. So before we get started, we'll just do a quick round of introductions if we could. We'll start with my right.
Good morning, I'm Sydney Graham, Councillor for Division 2.
Good morning, Darrell Lougheed, Councillor, Division 3.
Welcome, thanks for joining us today. Jenny Melhoff, the Councillor for Division 1 and Deputy Reeve.
Good morning, Michelle Swanson, Reeve, and Councillor for Division 7.
Good morning, Jordan Northcott, Division 4 Councillor.
Good morning, Neil Ratcliffe, Councillor for Division 5. With Council's permission, I will join the delegation.
Good morning, Rhonda Sirhan, Manager of Financial Services.
Good morning, Rick Emmons, CO.
Mary Gideon, Ferrier Community Member.
Debbie Gasnogay, Ferrier Community, and I'm the Secretary of the Association.
Elsie Nelson, I guess today I'm the presenter.
So thank you. Thank you for joining us. So with that, I will let you proceed with your presentation, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Reeve Swanson, Deputy Reeve Melhoff, Councillors, CEO Rick Emmons, and Administration. Ferrier thanks you for giving us the opportunity for this very presentation of our new hall project, and many in the community have been working so hard to achieve. So on the screen there, you'll see our latest addition to Ferrier, taken the other day. I guess this is me too. No. It doesn't want to advance.
Yeah, it's at the bottom of her
Do you want me to? Yeah.
Before the fall of 2016, we started doing bake sales and whatnot to start raising funds. In the fall of 2016, we started raising funds for the new hall. As you can see under the wall on the bottom left, the gap of the floor falling for the third time. And if you had vertigo and walked in this floor, it went, and it was quite a thrill. So this is our old hall after we had taken the siding off, the metal siding, and that's what it should look like. Past problems of the old hall. Tried both mud and foam jacking under the floor to stabilize the foundation. With foundation going, it was causing twisting of the roof, rain getting in, and causing mold and rot in the ceiling. There were trees buried under the foundation. We inherited a big problem. The hall was getting too small for a growing community. We had a few delays, which was part of it was COVID, and our contractor, who lives in our community, was finishing a job before starting on the hall when he came to major health issues. And it took a little bit of time to find a new contractor because they're all so busy, and then waiting for him to finish his pending projects. We have had problems with supply chain and waiting for materials. And as the building has been going on in the Clearwater County community, contractors are very overbooked. And then we have a problem of high cost of materials that have gone up to 25 to 35%. So these are some of our inherited problems. With these treasures, we have spent a large amount of money for a geotech consultant to approve the organic materials gone and the compaction. So this, the trees, that is what was under our old hall. That was holding the building up. And we did not want a box for the hall. If you go in the hall, they're all 8 to 9 feet and you feel enclosed. We wanted something more, something aesthetic and pleasing and a little bit of a wow factor. With the building code changes and the cost of materials going up, it is costing about 44% more than the first initial cost or estimate. Community halls can be a place of refuge, and the new building codes require a 25% stronger building. These additional costs were not anticipated. There are more people in Ferrier area than Alhambra, Leslieville, Condor, and Withrow combined. We do not have a fire hall, and like all the other rural centers, or community centers, we support our own water and sewer. Our hall is the hub of our community. With the new facilities, we will be a very vibrant community. It will be a larger space for gatherings, interacting for social, physical, and mental health, and lots of celebrations. Meeting our neighbors, making for a friendly and safer community. If you think back about 7 years ago when we had all that crime out in Ferrier, it brought the community together, and we were quite close, but then when COVID hit, you felt the distance again. So we are trying to bring this closeness back to our community. Making memories with our neighbors, families, and friends. Fundraising started in 2016 with hosting a bingo, and that is in Rocky Mountain House. We have done 2 casinos since 2016, many bake sales before the hall came down, have written many donations and grant requests. Community resident donations. We've done many raffles, bottle drives, still working on fundraising, and our next casino is next fall of 2025. And we would be getting the money then in the spring or the early January, February of 2026. This is the money that we have already raised. We have 2 CFIP grants coming to a total of $227,250. We have a digital grant where we received with a matching grant from LightLink, $14,971. We got a donation from the Clearwater County of $20,000. Clearwater COVID Relief Grant we put into our building fund, and thank you. Local residents and fundraising, commercial donations, material donations, and so when we started our construction, we had $445,660 in our bank account. So, with the money in our bank account, what we have spent so far, and here is every documentation of penny in and every penny out. So with a cost of $385,659, we are left with $60,001 left to spend. We have over 1,000 plus recorded man hours donated from the community so far, and many unrecorded. Some labor has been done that the Alberta government will not accept as a donation because it wasn't going towards the building, it was just maintaining, so it was not allowable. So there is a list of the remaining things that we need to finish, coming to a total of $355,500. Okay, so I took this yesterday when we finally had some sun outside, and so you get the bright glow behind. That is 2 windows up there. The view from the mezzanine level with some awesome railing and movable panels. It might make a nice entrance for a bride coming down the stairs or watching a play, or if you have a dance, you can get the kids out of the way, put them up there. The other night we had a barbecue and we had some young people deciding that sitting in the storage area was a great safe place for them. It was kind of cute. And from the mezzanine level, it doesn't make it look as long, but it will give you a great view for a play, or you could even have the band or something out there. The young people could be put up there to have their own space. And on each side of the mezzanine, there will be 3 compartments for storage, as head space is just too low. So putting Christmas trees and decorations, the extra chairs or tables for upstairs if you want to clean the space up there. We do also on the bottom level have 2 storage rooms for tables and chairs to keep everything clear there. In the last picture, we can go back, sorry. One more. So you'll see all the electrical wiring. So we have the electrical rough in, and then you'll see the 2 rooms in the back there. And we've also got the fiber optics cable running in there at this time. So we'll run to location. So great, location, a great attraction for a David Thompson getaway. Ferrier community is an ideal location for a family reunion, corporate getaway, wedding celebration, etc. A green space for ATV is 1 kilometer north of the hall. Access to the North Saskatchewan River, south 6 kilometers away. The historic site is 6 to 7 kilometers away. The Rocky Rod and Gun Club is 5 kilometers. Pinewoods Golf Course is 6 kilometers. Twin Lakes, 8 kilometers for great fishing. Crimson Lake, 11 kilometer days for a summer beach or taking a boat cruise. So the picture on the left is the ATV, what we call the sand hills. And the community goes ATVing out there. Then we have not far from us, and a great donator for us is the Rocky Rod and Gun Club. And hopefully everybody has toured the Rocky Mountain House historic site and the buffalo there. So it's a great attraction. The Pine Hill Golf Course, not too far away. Twin Lakes for fishing. And sorry, I didn't have a picture of the beach, but this is Crimson Lake in the fall. So just imagine that's the beach. Moving ahead, a third CFIP small grant application for $125,000 has been submitted. This is a matching grant. Our next casino is in the fall of 2025, and funds will be released the spring of 2026. The Community Association requests a letter of support for the CFIP grant application, and a grant of $200,000 is what we're asking. The amount in our account would be used to match a CFIP grant and allow us to continue construction of the building. Clearwater County has contributed matching funds to other community projects, and we ask for similar consideration. With the completion of the hall, we also request a new 25-year lease agreement. Future planning. After the new building is complete and ready for rentals and events, we hope to continue with moving and building a new playground, upgrading the camping area, restore the ball diamond, and level the grounds for a soccer pitch. A covered arena is in our dreams. And at this time, I'd like to thank you for letting us be here.
Thank you for that.
Any questions?
Reeve?
Thank you, Reeve. 25-year lease, so I take it Clearwater County owns the property, not the Ferrier Community Association?
They have signed that, the lease that would be, we just lease and we own the building, and that's what Clearwater has signed, that we own the building.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Supplementary? Yep.
How many acres is that lot? Because there's some very fabulous big dreams, but will it actually fit on the lot? How many acres is that?
Yes, it's about 5 acres.
Excellent, thank you.
Any further questions from council? See no lights. You guys didn't really start until what, November, December last year, it feels like?
Well, yeah, we started, I think last winter, not 2023, but 2024, we started moving the dirt. Well, the dirt had been moved. We started leveling, but when we started digging down for our foundation, we found more roots, more stuff to dig out. So that was a big factor. I'm going to say probably an extra $10,000 with all the extra digging and then bringing more dirt in. And then all the extra geo studies, and that was another $10,000. Well, probably 10,000 more than we had anticipated for that. So we've done I will say I did many hours of running a dirt packer, because in the rain even.
Well, I follow the Facebook page, and I tell you, I can enjoy the pictures of the production and everything that has transpired over the last 6 months. The community has worked very hard and to get it to where it is today. And yes, once things are complete, it's going to be a vibrant little happening spot and for everybody to enjoy out there. So you guys can be very proud of your accomplishments thus far in a very timely way. Knock on wood, the construction season, the nice winter has probably helped with that, and which I think is fabulous. So if there's no other questions, okay, go ahead, Deputy Reeve.
Thank you, Reeve. I concur with the Reeve. You guys have done an amazing job out there, and I very much look forward to seeing it continue to grow. And truly, I hope the dream of a big arena and a playground, I hope that comes true one day, because that community could definitely utilize it. I would make the motion to accept the presentation for information, and I'm sure that you are working with our Ag and Community Services to build a background report to come back to council at a future council date for consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion on the floor to accept for information. Call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll reiterate again, as the Deputy Reeve says, that yes, we will this item will come back for future consideration, because we do our budget preparation, so funds like that will have to be considered. Yeah.
And we'd like to invite you, if you ever want to come and tour, just give us a call, and we don't have doors yet to unlock, but we will let you in.
Thank you so much for coming out today. Appreciate it.
You have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Thanks. So with that, looking at item 6.1 has been removed, so we're moving along to 6.2, which is the first reading of bylaw 1195/24, the application to amend the land use bylaw. And once getting in position, I will let Mr. Bisson open this agenda, please.
Good morning. Thank you, Reeve Swanson. Good morning, Council. So Stephen and Lori Walker currently hold title to the Northwest 9 39-4, which contains 153.81 acres. The subject land is in the Agriculture District and is located approximately 1.5 miles northeast of the hamlet of Condor. Stephen and Lori's daughter Brittany has made application on behalf of the landowners to redesignate approximately 40 acres of land from Ag District to Intensive Ag. The remaining 113.81 acres of the quarter section would remain under the Agriculture District. Pending the outcome of the land use amendment, the applicants will then proceed with the subdivision application process to create separate title to the 40-acre IA parcel. The proposed undeveloped 40-acre parcel is mostly flat, clear farmland. There is some lower wetland located in the central portion of the quarter section. Access to the proposed parcel can be obtained from an existing access off Range Road 4-4, adjacent to the west property boundary. Access to the remainder of the quarter section can also be obtained from an existing access off Township Road 39-2, which is adjacent to the north property boundary. The applicant is proposing to amend the land use bylaw to allow the creation of an IA parcel so that they can purchase a portion of land, so that she can purchase a portion of land from her parents to start a tree farm operation. The proposed 40-acre IA parcel could be developed in four phases. A 4.5-acre site just south of the existing residential parcel will be developed with a residence and greenhouses. The greenhouses would be used for starting seedlings. The area containing 8 acres to the south of that will then be planted to trees the first year. It is estimated that this area could support over 19,000 trees. A 15-acre parcel located in the central portion of the proposed parcel would then be planted in the second and third year, while the remaining 12.5 acres in the northern portion of the proposed parcel would be planted in the fourth and fifth year of operation. More details on the proposed tree farm operation can be found in the applicant's business proposal, which is attached to this package. The proposed land use amendment would allow the applicants to start a business operation on a smaller, more affordable portion of land on the family farm. This will provide a more manageable parcel for her to begin the business operation, while allowing some extended family to purchase the remainder of the quarter section and continue with traditional farming operations. Surrounding land uses in the area are mainly agricultural, with a few residential parcels. The attached package provides more detail on the proposed development, and the applicants are present and able to speak to the proposal. So now I'll just go into some of the planning direction. Section 5 of the MDP deals with the importance of ag, protecting, growing, and encouraging new agribusiness to locate in our county. Section 10 deals with rules around subdivision within Clearwater County. Section 11 covers off our requirements for subdivision. Section 14.2.5 covers off additional studies that we may require to help us make a decision on subdivision. 14.2.6 are some additional things that we should consider. And section 14.2.10 through 14.2.13 is how we would collect municipal reserves if that is required. And then we go into the land use bylaw. I've given the general purpose of the intensive ag district as well as the definition. And the municipal government is right below that, and that just covers off some of the rules in the MGA for subdivision. Policy considerations, the redesignation of the proposed land to create an intensive ag parcel to start a tree farm. Access to the property is via Range Road 4-4. The proposed 40-acre parcel fits within the intensive ag district, as this will better sustain a tree farm operation on its own rather than as a full quarter section. The proposed business on the parcel is better utilized if separate from the quarter. The small ag operation could allow for more diverse agricultural opportunities and allow the landowner to make agriculture their livelihood. Should the proposed land use amendment and subsequent subdivision be approved, the parcel would be considered the third title within the quarter section and would align with policy 10.2.2 of the MDP. After reviewing and considering the impacts on adjacent farming activities, staff feel that the proposal would not negatively impact existing farm operations in the area. Public Works, Ag Services, and Regional Fire, along with other agencies, will receive an opportunity to comment on the proposal during the referral stage of this process. So our recommendation as staff is that Council consider granting first reading to Bylaw 1195-24 and proceed to a public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does council have any questions for the development officer? Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Eve. Do municipal reserves apply to agricultural subdivisions?
So in this case, Councillor Ratcliffe, the size of the parcel being subdivided is over the minimum where we are required to take municipal reserves in the MGA, so they would be exempt in this case.
Good.
Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I very much enjoyed reading your land use amendment proposal, like the business plan that goes with it. You've definitely put a lot of thought and energy into this proposal, and the diversification of agriculture that you have suggested, and in the bite-sized pieces that is manageable. Like I said, I very much enjoyed reading that, and I would happily make the motion for first reading so we can go to a public hearing.
Thank you for the motion. Any comments or discussion on the motion? Go ahead, Councillor Graham.
I would echo everything Deputy Reeve just said. It was a very impressive proposal to read, and like she said, you've obviously put a lot of thought and consideration into this. I think it would be great for the community. I don't see it affecting neighbors or future. It is ag, so it's just a little different type of ag, and I will be supporting the motion on the table.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you again, Reeve. Yes, I felt the same way. It's great to see ambitious people starting projects like this that diversify agriculture and business in our area. So I will also be supporting this motion.
Thank you. Well, there is some quote somewhere that I remember that says, when's the best time to plant a tree? And that was yesterday. So I appreciate the initiative that you are taking to, create something that will support and sustain even food security. I looked at your list of you're talking about berry trees and maybe possibly fruit trees, and I think that's fantastic as well to be able to bring that to the those kind of planting opportunities here in our counties. So anyways, if there's no further lights, I'll call the question. All those in favor for first reading and public hearing? That motion's carried. Thank you for coming in today. We'll see you at the public hearing. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. Thank you. You bet. All right, moving on then to item 6.3 is the first reading of Bylaw 1194/24 is the application to amend the land use bylaw again, and I believe I'm going to turn it right back to Mr. Bisson.
Thank you, Reeve Swanson.
Please have a seat. Yeah.
So Esther Oderkirk currently holds title to the Northwest 29 37.5, containing 155.68 acres of land. The subject land is designated Agriculture District A. The subject property is located approximately 7.5 miles northeast of the village of Caroline. Ian Oderkirk and Sarah Henn have made application on behalf of the landowners to redesignate 4 acres located in the northwest portion of the quarter section from Agriculture District to Country Residence Agriculture District. The remaining 151.68 acres of the quarter section would remain under the Ag District. Pending the outcome of the land use amendment, the applicants will then proceed with a subdivision to create separate title to a 4-acre CRA parcel. The proposed 4-acre CRA parcel is described as flat hayland and is located just north of an existing CRA parcel that was subdivided off of the quarter section back in 1980. Access to the proposed CRA parcel and the remainder of the quarter section can be obtained from an existing joint access off Range Road 5-5, adjacent to the west property boundary at the north end of the quarter section. The remainder of the quarter is mainly flat, cleared farmland. There's an existing yard site in the west central portion of the quarter. The applicants are proposing to amend the land use bylaw to allow them to subdivide off an undeveloped yard site. This will allow the applicants to develop the proposed parcel so that they can live closer to family and help their aging parents with farming operations. Surrounding land uses in the area are mainly agricultural, with a few residential parcels surrounding the property. The attached package provides more details, and the applicants and landowners are present to speak to the proposal. So as we look at the planning direction, Section 4 deals with the protection of water resources in our county. Section 5 deals with the protection of ag operations. Section 6 is just some policies regarding residential subdivision that we should consider here as a county. Section 10 deals with the rules around subdivision. And Section 11 deals with water and wastewater considerations, how that'll be dealt with on the proposed parcel. Section 14 are some additional considerations and studies that we can request if we feel that they're required. Section 14.2.10 to 14.2.16 deals with the collection of municipal reserves. I've given you the general purpose of the CRA district as well as the applicable lot sizes from the land use bylaw, and I've also included the out of the Municipal Government Act matters related to subdivision development regs, Section 9, which just deals with provincial considerations that we must consider. Policy considerations: the redesignation of the proposed land is to allow for the subdivision of an undeveloped site so the applicants can develop a proposed acreage. It is the applicant's intent to live on the acreage once it is developed so they can be closer to the family farm and help their aging parents with farming operations. There is legal and physical access to the proposed parcel and the remainder of the quarter section. Staff reviewed and considered the impacts on adjacent farming activities and do not anticipate that the proposal would negatively impact existing farm operations in the area. Should the proposed land use amendment and subsequent subdivision be approved, the parcel would be considered the third title out of the quarter section and would align with the MDP. So it's our recommendation that Council consider granting first reading to Bylaw 1194-24 and proceed to a public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bisson. Council have any questions? Go ahead, Deputy Reeve.
Thank you, Reeve. The proposed joint access at the northwest corner there, does that now create a very long panhandle to access the remainder of the quarter section?
Yes, it would. It does create a panhandle to access that the northern portion of the quarter. However, there is access to the quarter into that main yard site kind of in the central portion of the quarter as well.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Reeve. I have a question more for the applicants, and that is how much land is the family currently farming there?
Well, right at the moment, well, my husband passed away a couple of years ago. So, we have, what is it, 156 acres that I've got rented out at the moment. And the idea is, so Ian and Sarah, I can't stay on the farm and maintain it by myself. So with them there, they would probably take over the farming after the rental period is done.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any further comments or questions from the council? Do you have a follow-up? Oh, okay. So if there's no other comments or questions, we have a recommendation before us. Councillor Ratcliffe?
I move that council grants first reading to bylaw 1194/24 to redesignate 4 acres, and we move to a public hearing.
Okay. Any further questions, comments? If not, I'll call the question. Oh, go ahead, Councillor Graham.
It says 4 acres in some areas and 5 in some. Is 4 the one that is?
It is 4 acres.
Just being sure, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Motion on the floor. I'll call the question. Oh, Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Sorry, Reeve. Thank you. I will support first reading. I do have some concerns about that panhandle, but I am looking forward to hearing what the different referral agencies have to say about the application and the public hearing. So I will be in favor of first reading to go to a public hearing.
Thank you. All right. So motion on the floor. I'll call question. All those in favor? And that motion's carried. Thank you for coming in, and we'll see you at the public hearing. Thank you. Thank you. So moving along, we are at item 6.4, the repeal of the Clearwater County and County of Wetaskiwin IDP. And I am looking at, that would be passing along, I believe it's Miss Gillum today. I'll let you get started.
So bear with me, sorry.
You bet. It's all good. That's all right. That's all right. That's all good. It's all good. Yeah. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So in December of 2023, administration from the County of Wetaskiwin contacted Clearwater County administration regarding the upcoming review and the potential repeal of the IDP between Clearwater County and the County of Wetaskiwin. At the time the IDPs were approved, they were necessitated by the Municipal Government Act. However, following the enactment of Bill 25 red tape reduction in 2019, the MGA now allows municipalities with shared boundaries to mutually agree that an IDP is unnecessary. The County of Wetaskiwin Council made a resolution on Tuesday, March 12, 2024 to move forward with repealing the intermunicipal development plan with Clearwater County, as both administrations feel that the document is not required for the following reasons. The majority of the land along the shared boundary within Clearwater County is Crown land with under 10 titled quarter sections. The applicable policies within the IDPs are already integrated into the respective municipal development plans of each municipality, and the IDP is perceived as an additional layer of bureaucratic process rather than facilitating streamlined planning. So the County of Wetaskiwin administration has proposed to take the IDP to their council to be repealed on June 4th, 2024. In order to repeal the IDP, Clearwater County Council must make a resolution to proceed with the repeal process. Should Clearwater County Council wish to proceed, administration will bring the item back for first reading and proceed to a public hearing followed by second and third readings for the repeal of the bylaw. And bylaw 1074-19, the IDP between Clearwater County and the County of Wetaskiwin is attached for your reference. So our recommendation is that Council agrees that bylaw 1074-19 the IDP is not required and therefore directs administration to begin the repeal process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions from council? I do have one, because that is in my division. Should a titled landowner do a development permit, we are still on the referral process, whether they're from the county of Wetaskiwin or the Clearwater County, correct?
Correct, yeah. So that's the one thing that I noted. But the MDPs of both municipalities generally indicate that they will refer to adjacent landowners, including adjacent municipalities, when development is located in an area that is next to a municipality, other municipality.
Thank you.
For anything, subdivision, development, land use amendment, all of those things.
Perfect, thank you. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Eve. It stated that you begin the repeal process. Can you break that down a little bit of what the repeal process is? Is this the only part that council's needed for? Like, how does the repeal process work? Because it is a statutory document, correct?
It's a bylaw.
Okay.
Yeah, the IDP is a bylaw, just
Okay.
like any other bylaw. So we just have to go through a bylaw process to repeal the bylaw, based on my understanding with conversations with Tracy. So we have to go through the bylaw process because it was approved as a bylaw. So we have to go through the bylaw process to repeal it as well. So we bring it forward similar to a land use amendment, where we do a first reading and then we advertise and then do a public hearing and then possibly second and third reading. And that new bylaw is indicating that we're repealing this bylaw, which would mean that it no longer exists. And part of that was because, we were required to possibly review it this year, that or we repeal it. And it just depends on if council feels that it's necessary to maintain it or not.
Sorry, thank you. I do have a couple of follow-ups, if you don't mind, Reeve.
Go ahead.
What are the unintended consequences of repealing this? Like, this cost a significant amount of funds to actually build this, and I understand that there's red tape, et cetera, but what is the unintended consequence of removing this bylaw?
I would say there's probably none. Like, yes, money was put into doing it because we were required to create them. However, we would have to have the two municipalities get together and review the document and update it. So that would also cost us additional money that's likely not necessary, given that the majority of the stuff in the document is covered in other documents between the municipalities or within our own municipalities, such as the referral process. And the MGA actually has regulations about referring to adjacent municipalities and stuff like that for land use amendments as well. So it's covered in other areas, and it would just be something that we have to constantly come back to and review and have the councils, organize the councils to meet, and that costs money as well.
Yeah, thank you. I do have another one. Yes. Is this not what our financial transfer to the Wetaskiwin County is based on? This is not what that piece is based on?
CF would cover some,
Mr. Emmons.
That is a separate standalone agreement that actually was facilitated through municipal affairs itself. So this agreement included that standalone agreement, but that one pre-existed the IDP.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Northcott.
I was just going to make a motion as per staff recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ratcliffe.
If the two municipalities agree to repeal this, is that finished, or does it require a final approval from municipal affairs?
Mr. Emmons?
It would be submitted to municipal affairs, the minister to be exact, for acceptance.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Motion on the floor to agree, that council agrees that the bylaw 1074/19 Clearwater County, County of Wetaskiwin IDP is not required, and direct administration to begin the repeal process. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you for coming in today. Very good. So now moving on to items 7, which is new business, and we did a rearrangement here. So we are actually going to go to item 7.3, which is corporate services, and that is the first quarter financial report of 2024. Go ahead, Ms. Serhan.
Good morning, Council. So before you is the first quarter financial reports, and I just want to point out that there's different systems that these reports come from. The four-year financial plan came from our budget documents. The first quarter capital summary comes from our job costing software, which is called Pearl. Okay, sorry, I just lost my agenda item. And that's a summary based on job groupings. And then the first quarter capital projects is from the same software, just identifying each project separately. The first quarter operations Pearl summary, again, is from our job costing summary. And in that, for operations, the revenue is embedded into each of the jobs separately. And then the operations for GP report brings the revenues up above the expenditures. So you can see that there's different ways to pull information, and depending on what you're looking for, the administrative team and the management team relies on the Pearl reports to manage each of their programs so that they have all of their information for each program together, where the finance department mainly leans on GP and separates those revenues from the expenses because of reporting requirements for financial statements and to the province. So let's just get into the agenda item. The goal for finance is to provide monthly reports attached to the report section of the agenda at the second meeting of each month for the month previous, and have agenda items quarterly that include variance analysis. It isn't usual that a first quarter financial report is presented due to the amount of staff resources that go to putting the budget together, then doing the year-end and audit work for the previous year's financial statements, but administration thought it was important to have something before council for this first quarter. So the first quarter is lacking in information available for analysis due to the amount of year-end work that happens in March that accrues costs from invoices that come into the office to be paid in 2024 that relate to the 2023 expenses or the year-end financial reports. And what happens is that expense is recorded in 2023 with a subsequent credit in 2024, so that when that invoice is paid in 2024, it nets it at zero, but the expense is showed in 2023. By the end of March, some of those accrual entries have been recorded, but the subsequent invoice may not have been recorded as being paid if it's an expense, or cash received if it's revenue. There are some accounts that will have an opposite balance of what is expected. By the second quarter, these will have been addressed because all the invoicing and the will have been recorded, and bills have been paid for 2023 expenses, and monies received for the expected revenue that is credited back into 2023. And there's much more activity in both operating, with summer programs getting going and hiring of summer staff in May, and capital projects getting off the ground in the second quarter. One of the other items to note is that the attached reports are for invoices that have been received and paid to the end of March. So that may not be all of the operational invoices for work done to the end of March, and will not include all the invoices for work done on capital projects to the end of March for sure. This information isn't reconciled and adjusted each month. This only happens at the end of the year for financial statements. This means that each month more work has actually been completed than what has been identified in the financial reports. It can take several months, as is shown with the time it takes to gather the information for the financial statements, to have all of the information and subsequent entries recorded. The reports attached to this item are the quarterly reports coming from the two different systems that are used to track different aspects of the programs and projects. And we just walked through some of the differences with you. In the information portion of the agenda, you'll find the operational and capital reports for the month ending April 30th, so you can get an idea of the difference 1 month can make. Excuse me. Administration
would like to discuss with council any information that is required that's not being provided currently and what goal or purpose they're trying to attain. Administration could then provide information on what financial data is available and which format would be most beneficial to council to serve their purpose. So I would move to any questions and discussion.
All right. Open the floor for questions. Deputy Reeve Melba.
Thank you, Reeve, and perhaps it's just because of where the months are sitting, but several of the fire apparatus and gravel road rehab has zeros for budgets, like that there was nothing budgeted that year, but yet there's a year-to-date expenditures. So and like I said, it could just be because the month thing that you talked about, but I am worried that it could also very much negatively impact our budget if we didn't budget anything and yet we've spent a bunch of money.
Yeah, there are some budget adjustments that need to come to council. So some of the gravel road rehab specifically would be things that got carried forward into 2024 that didn't quite get done, that at budget time when staff were pulling budgets together, assumed that those projects would be completed in 2024, and maybe there's a small portion that got carried into completed in 2023, and a small portion got moved into 2024. Some of the fire apparatus specifically is some of the apparatus that was budgeted in 2023 that needs a budget adjustment in 2024, and it's just a learning curve and figuring out how to budget for those carry forwards. The fire apparatus specifically comes from a restricted surplus account, so it's not going to negatively impact the amount of revenue you need to generate in the year, because that is one of the programs that is smoothed out by putting funds away annually for it as a transfer to restricted surplus, and it's just a timing issue as to when those funds get expended. So you can be aware that there will be budget adjustments coming to council, probably not at the next meeting, but the meeting following.
Thank you. Follow-up?
Yes, thank you. But when you were explaining the different reserve funds, there's a work in progress reserve fund. So then wouldn't anything that was supposed to be finished in 2023, that was budgeted for in 2023, but didn't get completed or billed for until 2024, wouldn't that be moved from the work in progress account? Isn't that what that was for?
If we identified it by the time budget documents were created, yes. And sometimes there's just so many moving parts. Maybe staff let me know and I adjusted the work in progress one and didn't adjust the budget, or we didn't know that it wasn't going to get finished by 2024 by the time that those documents were created. So then into the next year, there needs to be a budget adjustment. And typically that would come from the work in progress restricted surplus, or sometimes it comes from contingency if we absolutely didn't know what was going to happen. But typically there's those funds go into restricted surplus for work in progress. You're absolutely right.
Thank you.
In regards to where we get a little bit caught up, I'll just say with last year to this year, where everything else, we can anticipate that more in June or July to be pretty well caught up with 2023 kind of wrapped up, then 2024 well underway, where we're sitting.
Yeah, the second quarter really shows a different picture because May taxes are levied. May, the summer seasonal staff have been hired. The programs are starting. And for sure, you're gonna see some of those invoices that for the work done in May are coming through in June. So yes, the second quarter really does show a better picture of what's gonna happen in the year. But all of the projects are weather dependent, and it just depends on what kind of spring we have and what kind of summer we have and when those costs, when the work is actually done. And then there's a delay, and we're never, really caught up until we present financial statements in April. That's when we're caught up for 2023. And then, we're never caught up for 2024 April of 2025. So it's a never-ending cycle of understanding that the financial statements and the financial reporting is just a lot further behind than the actual projects themselves and the work getting done there.
Thank you for the clarification. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. My other question was with regard to River Road base paving and the Condor paving. There's budget allotted for that, but I thought both of those projects were complete.
I'm sorry, I don't have them in front of me. Are they large budgets or just like a residual?
So one is for 25,000 for River Road and Condor for 100,000. But like I said, I was under the impression that both of those projects were complete.
Yeah, there might be some deficiencies that need to be caught, like just, I'll let Director Hanson.
Director Hanson's going to join us and answer the question, please.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Sorry, maybe ignorance is bliss, and maybe us not having this information wouldn't
No,
have brought these
absolutely.
questions,
It's something we actually discussed at budget. It was both those projects, due to the complexity, especially with Condor, knowing that there would have been, we have a warranty period that we've identified and everything that was covered under warranty, because that project is so complex and there was some add-ons after the fact that would be possibly outside of warranty. We wanted to ensure that we had funding available to address any of the community concerns when it come up to drainage or erosion or something that would have been out of the scope of the contractor. That's why that one was so large. And the contingency amount that was added for River Road is quite small, but there is still, again, whenever you do a base pave project, you completely obliterate the existing road and reconstruct it. There's always anomalies that come out, say they're outside of the scope of the warranty period. So we just wanted to ensure that we had those securities in place. With any luck, we won't have to utilize those funds, so it's there if we need it, and we don't have to come back to council again. Hopefully, at the end of the summer, we can say that we didn't have to use that, and that would go back into the reserve. So, but as I say, on a major project like that, we always want to make sure that we have ourselves covered, so we don't have to come back and ask for more money mid-season and go into contingency, for example.
Perfect, thank you. And it's things like that that potentially make up the restricted surplus at the end of when we're done balancing everything and we need to reallocate stuff, then that's the type of thing that makes up that restricted surplus.
Yeah,
not necessarily.
It's either it goes either into restricted surplus or it goes back into the restricted surplus that it came from the first time. So sometimes it comes as, if it was a tax levy funded project, then that would go into, it'd be unrestricted surplus that could be reallocated. But if it came out of say the paving reserve, it would just been earmarked for the $100,000 to do the project. It didn't get used, it would just go back into that unrestricted surplus. So you just wouldn't reduce that restricted surplus by that amount.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm getting better at it, Rhonda. I really am. I'm learning.
Great job, gold star today.
How many more software programs can we get administration on? That's a good job.
Forward into the future, software is just expanding and blowing up as far as the apps that are available to track information, and it's just getting more and more complex. Computers are not solving resource issues, they are creating resource issues, let me tell you.
The real life experience, right?
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Some of the stuff is really great, really helpful.
Yeah. Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Reeve. Looking at the program 3000 under airport operations, is that year-to-date number, does that reflect a carryover?
I believe that's one of the ones that is the wrong balance, like it's the wrong way. It's one of those ones that we didn't receive the invoice by the end of March. So we anticipated in 2023 that those costs were coming from the town because it's a cost shared program, and then the invoice maybe didn't make its way through the system by the end of March. So probably, we could check April's and see what happened in April, if that got cleared off, or maybe it's not happening, maybe we didn't pay it until May, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I will say I actually really liked the way that this was laid out in comparison to some of the previous ones that we've gotten. I liked the breakdown, so for me, the program was good. And I would make the motion that we accept for information the financial reports. But I do have one other question. We haven't had the opportunity to actually allocate from 2023's restricted surplus. Will that be a item on a future agenda to do that at some point? Last year, I know we did it significantly earlier and the year before, so I just was curious if that was coming back.
It for sure is coming back. I think administration wants to make sure council is informed about all of the future capital projects for through strategic planning in 2024, and that way that they can make a really good decision on what their priorities actually are and where they want that restricted surplus to go. So you'll find that item coming forward in one of the strategic planning meetings. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, motion on the floor to accept the first quarter financial report for information. Seeing no other lights, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you.
I really appreciate you accommodating my schedule today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this very much, Ms. Saran. Before we get started into the next agenda, I was just wondering if anybody would like to take a quick 10-minute break and then we'll come back. Okay, we'll take a 10-minute in our agenda item at item 7.2A. Oh, sorry. We are at, sorry. I thought we were there. We are at the equipment, right? Yes, on item 7.1A, sorry. The contractor equipment rate review. Go ahead, Councillor Graham.
Due to pecuniary interest, I'm going to recuse myself.
Thank you. And with that, I will turn it over to Director Hansen.
Well, good morning, council. This will be the third time this council has seen the rate review. It's an annual review that we do as per the hiring of equipment policy. So as a quick reminder, the current 2023 contractor equipment rates are a list of commonly used equipment by the county for day labor projects. So primarily the gravel road rehabilitation program, the ditching program, dust control program, as well as the graveling program. It equates to approximately $6.5 million of the annual budget. In 2023, there were 51 contractors that met the minimum hiring requirements for hourly work. Clearwater County utilized 45 of these contractors. So it's safe to say that we have a healthy contingent of contractors that are ready, willing, and able to come work for the county, and we do our best to facilitate everyone we can. And unfortunately, we can't hire everybody. Some have equipment that we don't require, as well as just more equipment than we need. So it's a great problem to have. Like I said, we do our best to share out that work. As I say, with 45 different contractors, that's a lot of relationships that our foremen and supervisors maintain, and they do a great job of it. So a little bit of a policy recap here. I don't know the reason why that we review these rates every year. And historically, you know, I'm glad we actually do this because it's hard. It's important to keep up to date with our current rates. All the heavy lifting is done through the Alberta Road Builders and Heavy Construction Guideline. They review it every year. They have all the membership. It's the peer-reviewed book. So really, we look at that book. We compare it to our local contractors. We get a listing from anybody that would supply. You know, we reach out to a handful of contractors, and I can tell you, it's not as simple as a easy calculation. This machine should be paid that, because there is a huge discrepancy even between local contractors of what they feel that one specific piece of equipment should be paid. So we do our best to, you know, using the peer-reviewed book called the Alberta Road Builders, we've established a percentage which varies slightly between the different categories and coming up with what we feel is an equitable rate to be paid for that equipment. We don't want to be overpaying, and we don't want to be significantly underpaying. We want to be fair, and fairness can also be evaluated by the ability to get work. If we also don't have, right now we have 60 currently that are willing to work for us. If that drops down to 40, you know, maybe we need to reevaluate what we're doing. But from an administrative perspective, I believe the process works well, and it will continue to. So with that, really, we last reviewed these rates last year in May. This is the time that, you know, upon review from council, we're looking to approve the 2024 rates as presented in the column of yellow, and we will include that as the new Schedule A in the hiring equipment policy. So there again, just some high level things there. You can see that there's not been a whole lot of change from the 2023 year to the 2024. Small incremental increases to most categories. There was a big jump in water trucks for some reason. There again, I leave that to the industry professionals to say why they think that there needed to be a 10% increase to water trucks. That's not what we do. We didn't have input on that, but perhaps it was a correction there in their own market. The other item of note is the only one that we changed the percentage paid was the crawler tractors. Again, talking to our industry professionals and our subject matter experts, our foremen, we're really paying a premium there for crawler tractors. So we're recommending actually reducing from, I believe it's from 87% to 85%. Crawler tractors are weird. Like if I look at the price for a DAT, we will not be hiring DATs at $330 an hour when we can get a D8R for $250. As long as we can get one, right? It's like I say, some of the Alberta Road Builders books rates I feel are, and I get it. Those dozers are expensive. Those are $1 million plus for that piece of machinery, but it doesn't need to be paid off in one summer. So with that, any questions that the council might have, be happy to answer.
Thank you for that. Well, some of us want to be paid off in one summer.
Oh, wouldn't
I
we- wouldn't
don't
we
know
like to?
if you had the equipment. Go ahead, Deputy Reeve.
Thank you, Reeve. This doesn't equate to our greater beats, correct? These are when you're hiring out for your day work type activities or in-house projects, et cetera, not the actual greater beats.
That's correct. This is just day labor work. Greater beats are tendered.
Can
Yes,
supplementary?
follow-up, yeah.
How does the greater beats compare with our, with this? Because if this is the books that this equipment is supposed to be worth, is it fairly similar?
No, actually, the competitive nature of the greater beats provides us a quite a bit lower, again, Public Works Operations would have those numbers handy to know what the current, what the average tendered rate was. I'm gonna say probably $110 an hour. You know, it was low as in the 80s, 60s when I was in this building and more familiar with the operations side. It's significantly more competitive as a greater beat. Now, greater beat work versus construction there is a significant difference. We're working those machines quite a bit harder through a construction program. You're in wet material. You're burning more fuel, more wear and tear on the machine compared to a maintenance grader. And there again, I think it's the tendering process always brings out the competitive nature in the industry, and we've done tendering for so long that it's established as such. That is, you know, there's still lots of contractors and it's well diversified, so we get lots of competitive bids that come in. It's when you don't have any and everybody sells their beat graders and then you try to do it again, then there's only one or two bidders. That's when your prices could be higher than your hourly rates. But I think just because the program, the tendering has been well established, every 5 years it's tendered again, so you have 5 years to plan and it hasn't changed for a lot of years.
Councillor Ratcliffe?
Thank you, Reeve. How much feedback are we getting from these operators that these rates aren't fair?
Very, very little. When we did the contractor rate review, there was some small comments made on it there. That was back in 2018, before the election. It was just, we presented, I think it was the meeting prior to the election. And we did it was a contractor rate survey as well. It was the entire policy that was reviewed. And there was a few comments made of the equipment rates, but it's not really a surprise, but it's been currently, like I said, when you have 60 some odd people sign up and that are ready, willing, and able to work, that it's a pretty good indicator that we're fair.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Lahi?
Thank you, and I know the county owns numerous pieces of equipment. What do we use as a determining factor of, is there a threshold where we consider owning our own equipment to do some baseline work as opposed to the contracting? Maybe is there a way we can describe how that process works? Yeah, I think it's different for each equipment category. With packers, for example, so we have a fleet of compactors, whether it being smooth drum packers or pad foot packers. The requirement for skilled labor is not there, so we can utilize college students as long as you're 18 years old. You know, you meet the minimum requirements there. That provides another opportunity for us to employ those post-secondary students, for example, as well as the cost. Like those, when you hire say a packer from an equipment operator, that you can't take that equipment operator and then have him go pick rocks and roots and rip-rap culverts for the day. He's going to get paid 10 hours to run that packer, and you're going to pay that rate for that. Whereas this, we would have the diversity to actually pull that seasonal employee that we have, and we could reutilize him anywhere else. So if there's only need to be 2 hours of packing that needs to be done, we could reutilize him for the rest of the day somewhere else. Graders, there's a reason when we look at when it's an isolated area that's for a grader beat, you know, it's more cost effective for us to own the grader than it would be to put over tender, because the tender would then be higher than the hourly rate. So there's kind of there's a story for each individual group. Farm tractors, it makes really no sense for construction to own farm tractors. It does for ag because it works
because this specialized type of work that they do with the mowing and the commercial activities they do, but for construction, we can go into any farmer's field and get a 400 horse tractor or a 150 horse tractor to pull a disc up and down a road, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So, there again, it's a story for every piece of equipment, and we've tried to create that balance to not duplicate what everybody else has in the area. That's why we don't have Tracos, we don't have crawler tractors, because those are readily available from the contractors that are available here. And it requires skilled operators that we don't need to employ year-round when it's seasonal work.
For that.
Sure.
Yeah, and looking at the, when you said that 45 out of 51, that's 88%. That's a pretty good percentage of contractors that we can utilize. And with every year, we know with growing inflation and costs, et cetera, that contractor pool is probably shortening as the gap as well for cost of insurance and things like that for these businesses to operate. So as much as we can feasibly employ them on a day rate, helps keep these small businesses and these people employed in our area, and I think it's a very necessary policy. So, Councillor, or Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I was actually very surprised to see some of these rates go down. Like, I think it's the only thing we've seen in a very long time that actually has gone down. Very few things go down in this world. Everything seems to only go up. So I was pleased to see that, and that a wholesome review had been accompanied to do that. I am curious though, how do the fuel index policies, or is that a procedure? Maybe that's a procedure or policy. Can you explain that a little bit more? Because in the policy, it references the fuel index, and how, but it doesn't reference how that works. Are you able to explain a little bit? Because I think that's where we make up the difference to these contractors.
Yeah. So basically what we do is we take a 2-year average of what the dyed diesel rate is. We compare that average to the current rate, and if the current rate is a percentage higher, so it's more of a dollar amount higher, then the rate is increased by that percentage. So we did that calculation, and the 2-year average dyed diesel rate is actually higher than the current rate is today. So there will be no fuel index to be applied for this year. There wasn't one last year either. The year prior, so 2 years ago, 5%, I believe, is when we had that big jump when it was up in the $1.80, high 70s. So that's applied. We review it annually when we do this review, and we just use a 24-month window for that average. And it's, we have to be really cautious about when we're using an annual review book, such as the road builders, they're taking in the last 12 months of fuel rates. So we're taking it over a little bit longer period. So they've really, unless there's a huge spike that was happened just between, I'm gonna say from January till May, then it's probably fuel indexing is not necessary, but it's still something that we look at. It's important to keep an eye on fuel because we've seen some incredible fluctuations with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, just because it was referenced in the policy, so I wanted to make sure I understood it. Thank you.
Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Reeve. Of these 51 contractors, are there many that we consistently don't use?
That consistently don't use?
Get rotated? Yeah.
We rotate everything, every one we can. We try to contact every available contractor. There's some that outright turned us down last year because of they're busy in the oil field. You know, the patch currently seems to be busy enough. That's when you lose most of the contractors. So yes, they'll be signing up on the list. I'm not even gonna throw out names here today, but we've had like other contractors that said, well, thank you for the call, but we're working on an oil patch work currently, so feel free to phone us again. We'd come if we could.
That's good to hear.
Great. If there's no further questions, go ahead, Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I would make the motion that council reviews the information provided and approves the 2024 Clearwater County equipment rates as amended and directs administration to include a revised rate schedule to the hiring of equipment policy as the new Schedule A.
Thank you.
Should have just went as per staff recommendation.
As per staff recommendation. Perfect, that's awesome. Is there any further comments, questions on the motion? And with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you very much. So with that, I'll ask, thank you, Councillor Graham, for rejoining us. And moving on to item 7.2 in Ag and Community Services, the Ag and Community Service appointments. Go ahead, Director Martinson.
Thank you, Reeve, and good morning, Council. This also is an agenda item that this Council's seen 3 times now as our regular summer appointments that are required under legislation and generally happen here in April and May are back before you today. This is a mix of seasonal staff and new full-time staff that have yet to receive their appointment, both under the Weed and Pest Act, as well as a confirmation appointment for the Ag Service Board Chairman under the Ag Service Board Act. As Council is likely aware, these are required for our ongoing operations of administering and enforcing the legislation that we are required to under the Ag Service Board Act. And we are happy to answer any questions Council may have, but I would turn it back over to the Reeve.
Thank you. I have a quick question in regards to applicants. When is the applicant date open and when is it closed? Just for people that may.
For recruiting our seasonal staff?
Yes.
Typically, we try to target opening dates for our seasonal applications just kind of in February previous to reading week. We work directly with every department in the county that hires seasonals to do joint recruitment consistently through our HR group with the assistance of communications. So sometimes we're not quite threading that needle of time frame, but generally speaking, our recruitments are out end of February at the latest, and we like to run them for a decent amount of time in the spring. Often they stay open until we found every position we need, but sometimes that catches people off guard that it's so early because they think summer, springtime. And we used to do that back in the day when the process was a little less formal and we were hiring far less seasonals 20 some years ago when I first started. But now we have to start early, and it is a monumental process because there's a lot of seasonal staff hired in our department and in other county departments. So that is some feedback that I've gotten was, we missed it. We didn't realize it was so early. We also like to be out early because we want to recruit the best college students that are often kind of on top of stuff and that are looking for jobs early. To us, that shows good planning, and if you're going to be representing the county in enforcing our legislation, we want you to be a good planner. So that's a little bit why we like to be early and whatnot. And it's such an important function for us. Seasonal staff are so important to us that leaving it to the last minute just doesn't serve us well. So yeah, thank you for that question, and we hope that anybody that has missed our recruitments in the past takes note of that, and next year be prepared in February.
I appreciate that. Thank you for that. Councillor Graham.
I've heard very wonderful things about this group this year, and I hope that the community is nice and respectful to them. It's not their fault that these legislations exist, and they exist for a positive reason. So hopefully people are nice to them when they go out, and I will make a motion that council appoints the following Clearwater County Agriculture and Community Services staff as weed inspectors under the Alberta Weed Control Act for field and administrative duties effective May 28th, 2024, and for the duration of their employment: Jill Tennant, Rylan Lacey, Leah Solik, Lacey Terpsma, Rain Danielson, Danielle Judd, and Emma Collison.
Thank you for that motion. Any questions in regards to the motion? See no lights, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. So we have a couple follow. Go ahead, Deputy Reeve.
I'll do the next one. That council appoints the following Clearwater County Agriculture and Community Services staff as pest inspectors under the Agricultural Pest Act for field and administrative duties effective May 28th, 2024, and for the duration of their employment. Jill Tennant, Rylan Lacey, Leah Sullick, Lacey Terpsma, Rain Danielson, Daniel Judd, Emma Collison.
Very good. All right, any questions in regards to that motion? Seeing no lights, I'll call a question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Third recommendation. Go ahead, Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Reeve. I move that council appoints Jim Duncan as chairman of the Agriculture Service Board effective May 28th, 2024, ending at the October 2024 organizational meeting.
Thank you. Any comments, questions in that motion? Go ahead, Councillor Northcott.
Alrighty. Mr. Duncan, he was late in his, did he apply for his, did he send in an application for the Ag Service Board for the previous appointments in October?
Mr. Martins?
The individual board member that is in the motion for chairman was appointed by council outside of the organizational meeting this year, if I'm understanding the question correctly.
And I did not support that motion either. And the reason I don't is because it wouldn't be fair to everybody else if other people had forgot to send in applications, so to create additional positions. I won't support it, because if there's other people that had forgot to submit applications for other boards or committees, municipal planning commission, then we should create additional seats for all the people that had forgotten. So again, I didn't support the creation of that additional position on that board, and I won't be supporting this motion as well.
Thank you. Councillor, oh, sorry, go ahead, Tracy Lynn.
Just a point of clarification. Mr. Duncan's application was not late. It was an administrative oversight, I do believe. So his application was actually received on time, but due to an administrative oversight, it was missed.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Reeve Melhoff?
Thank you, Reeve, and thank you, Ms. Haight. I remember this. Like, it wasn't his mistake, so he should not be penalized because it wasn't his mistake. I will be supporting this. Mr. Duncan has been a fabulous chair of this board, and he can continue to do so, and will continue to do so, in my opinion. He's done a great job overall and will continue to do a great job.
Thank you. Councillor Graham?
I will be supporting this as well. I would echo everything Deputy Reeve Melhoff said. I think Mr. Duncan is an incredible chair and a wonderful steward of agriculture. I think we could all learn a lot from him personally. I think he's a wonderful member of our community, and I remember being at the meeting when we were discussing as well whose time was up, and even people on the committee thought it was them, and there was a lot of confusion. So I don't think Mr. Duncan should be punished for confusion among numerous people. It wasn't even just administration, it was members on the board as well, so I will be supporting this.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Northcott?
This isn't anything specific to Mr. Duncan, it's just the principle behind the whole process of creating an additional position on a board or committee. How, if I may ask administration, how was that application received? Was it received via email by chance?
Director Martinson?
I can't speak specifically about those details, but the kind of overarching summary of the issue was that administration was misinformed when we presented to the board whose terms were up and who is expected to be leaving the board, who has an additional term available that they may wish to apply to, and it certainly was our duty, based on past historical practices in administering the Ag Service Board, to provide that information. And I did not provide the most accurate information to the board, which was my duty. So We had brought that to the board once it became our understanding that we made a mistake, or I made a mistake, and the board recommended to council to appoint Mr. Duncan to a one-year term in recognition of our administrative, or my administrative mistake. So that was the past history and background to Mr. Duncan's appointment to the board. The Ag Service Board did, through a similar process that council uses to select their leader, will go through a process to select Mr. Duncan as the chairman for this year, as Mr. Duncan did receive an appointment from the board earlier this spring.
Councillor Northcott?
Thank you. Is there a way that we can verify that that application was received on time and that it was? Is there any way to verify that application, if there's a time-stamped email or something like that with the application? Or maybe postpone this item until that could be presented as information, just to put my mind at ease.
In regards, I would actually just, for my understanding here, maybe Councillor Northcott, because this is only appointment for the next, till October, to their next organizational meeting, or our next organizational meeting, I would say there's what, maybe one meeting until now, or two meetings until the October. So to have administrative effort and time for myself, it's just more of I can understand that could be maybe an email, but the past council has indicated in the past, council has already made the motion to appoint Mr. Duncan. Maybe that could be a follow-up, an email follow-up as to when his application was put in, or is, because you've already indicated you're not going to support the motion, so in that, I'm just trying to, it is a busy time within the organization, and I don't want it to sound petty, but I understand that the information you would want for the future. So if that works.
I made my statements, I've got my thoughts out.
Okay.
Without that information, again, I still won't be supporting this. So.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ratcliffe?
Thank you, Reeve. Could we have just a quick background on why this is coming forward now?
I guess to sort of back up a little bit further, past practice from council has always been to allow the Ag Service Board the autonomy to select its own leader. That could be a member at large, or that could be a councillor. Typically, the councillors decline their nominations because they chair and lead and are so busy in our community that they actually value having a member at large lead the meeting, so they can shore up a little extra time on that committee and just kind of be a member, where most committees they are chair. So that's been the past practice. Through varying legislative reviews and changes in legislation, the legislation does specifically now say that council must authorize or appoint the chairman. And so that includes, this body. That doesn't just include the two members that are appointed. So this is really a formality. Mr. Duncan's been leading our meetings since fall. And instead of bringing just one single appointment to this very busy chambers in November, December, when we're really trying to focus on budget, we've said, you know what, let's lump them together with the weed inspector appointments because they're very important too. And let's just bring that yearly chairman appointment, which we see in the past as really formality, because this board has always supported the Ag Service Board's decisions when it comes to picking their own leader. And so just to kind of summarize and really answer Councillor Ratcliffe's question, the reason why it's here today is because legislatively we're required to do this. The reason why it never came earlier is good time management for this council as well as administration.
So this is just a housekeeping issue?
That would be an accurate way to describe it, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Councillor Lougheed?
And thank you. I will be supporting the motion before us. Of course, I've worked with Mr. Duncan in the past, and as have worked with numerous community leaders, and I can think of no person that could do a better job of that role than Mr. Duncan, and I will be supporting the motion.
Okay, thank you. All right, motion on the floor to appoint Jim Duncan as chair. I'll call the question. All those in favor and those opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you. Moving on then to item 7.2B, the renewal of the agreements of the Rocky Museum Operations Board and the Town of Rocky Mountain House Library Board. And please take it away again, Director Matt Parkinson.
Thank you, Reeve, and so before you here is two agreements that we've worked very closely on with our partners both at the town and at the museum and library. And these are partnerships to provide service, both museum services within the town of Rocky Mountain House and library services within the town of Rocky Mountain House as well. And these agreements were drafted in the past and reviewed here over the last year, and they're in front of you. So I'll just touch on some quick changes with the museum agreement. There was an increase request for funding last fall, which was approved by this council. And so that has been reflected in Schedule A of the museum agreement. Section 4C is changed to add the ability for a museum board member to take meeting minutes and potentially shore up the necessity for a town or county representative to be required to take those minutes. Section 5D was removed as it was redundant or duplicative of 6E. In Section 6E, the financial statements will be submitted a little bit earlier, or submitted by March, rather than the previous terminology, which was a little more opaque and just said in March. As well, we have Section 7A relating to insurance, a little more specific as well, rather than from time to time. Gotta love the good old days, right? And then in Section 15A, dates were changed to reflect, obviously, a new term. Term was changed, I believe, from 5 years to 10 years. It's 5 again. Yeah, we like 5-year terms. A lot of things change in 10 years, and 3 just goes by way too fast. So we like a 5-year term, so that's why you may see that as a bit of a consistent thing moving forward with agreements. As far as the library agreements go, Section 1A was changed, and now the dates will be November 1st to 15th to allow adequate time for administrations, municipal administrations to review prior to our typical November, December budget timelines. Section 1B, Roman numerals has been, VII has been added in regards to insurance and the library building. In addition, we've just changed the word books to materials, and yeah, maybe Anne-Marie will explain that a little bit.
No, maybe I have a different one, because for me, 1BII is staff training. Or am I looking at the wrong?
1B VII.
VII, sorry, I thought you said II.
I'm not great with Roman numerals,
So-
sorry.
Okay, 7. Okay, sorry, I thought I was looking at the wrong thing, and then it was at the wrong. Thank you.
The insurance thing, it was just that the appropriation to the town and county from the library has insurance listed in their budget, and then we also have it from the town. They also have the insurance in the payment for the library under that part. So I wanted to break it down to show that the town one, they're covering the building, the contents, and liability. Whereas the library's appropriation is just the library board. So when it says insurance in both places, it's just to break it down, to show the difference there.
Perfect.
Section 3 also was slightly changed to represent Parkland Regional Library System's legal name, but also the name reflected in legislation under the Library Act. Section 4, number 4 in section 2E, the date of the town to submit the county projected operational and service delivery cost was changed from November to October, again, to be more in line with our budgeting process. Number 5 in section 3A, party was changed to parties to reflect the 3-party member with the library board, the town, and the county. Number 6, 2020, the library's updated 2020 reserve fund policy was replaced, has replaced now the 2015 version in Schedule A. Number 7, the library town agreement for operating and maintaining the library has been added in the back as a Schedule B, so that there's better transparency and understanding around all parties' responsibilities and which party's responsible for which components of the library. And the end date of the agreement was changed from 2027 to 28 to match the tri-party agreement as well. So things are a little cleaner when it comes to expiration dates. And that is the changes that were noted and considered and ultimately recommended to the councils and boards for approval. And that is all we had for that presentation. And I'll turn it back over to the Reeve. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments, questions in regards to the information before us? Go ahead, Deputy Reeve.
Thank you, Reeve. Can you remind me how the library will be affected or is potentially affected by the amalgamation? Because I vaguely remember that negotiation several months ago. Will this agreement be impacted at all?
We don't believe it will when it comes specific to the library in Rocky. There will be changes to the Nordegg Library and the Caroline Library, but we believe that the changes to this library system now, we can't say how any changes that happen to Condor and Nordegg could change funding towards Rocky. Those are formulas that are out of our control and that are in the provincial realm. But we do understand there is some regionalness to how they deliver funding. So that would, that could be a change. I don't believe it would be, but again, not to discount something that could be a potential. But as far as the municipal role goes when it comes to libraries, there would be no change to the Rocky Library in my opinion.
Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Reeve. Is this currently correct on Museum Schedule A, where the town and the county are not supporting it equally?
Director Martinson.
Yes. So right now, if you're talking specifically about the funding, we fund the museum to a higher level than the town does currently.
Year that's happened?
Yes. So the request that happened at last year's budget meeting did go to both municipalities, is our understanding. This council approved it, and town did not, is our understanding. Now, I do want to be clear that the town has approved the museum agreement. Yes. That's in front of you, but the increased ask in funding last fall was only approved by the county.
What's the impact moving forward of that? Is that going to remain consistent, or do we expect to go back to the equal funding support for the museum?
I can't necessarily speak on behalf of the board and what they will do, the museum board, and how they will continue to work with the town council. I will tell you that it is my department's intention to ask council for this amount next year, and it will be up to this council if they choose to approve that funding again, as you do in every year. But it is administration's recommendation that we continue funding at this level. We believe that the museum provides tremendous service to our community. They also drive tremendous business to Nordegg for us and to our West Country. We are already having discussions with our newly opened and newly renovated Discovery Center on how we can work together on such marketing each other's opportunities, also potentially sharing displays or information, or working together both with the Rocky and the Caroline Museum. So we believe there's good value for the funding that this council has provided. And sometimes this council funds services and pursuits to the same level as our municipal partners around us and within us, and sometimes we don't. And that's certainly this council's decision always. But that's the information that we have, and hopefully that answers your question, Councillor Ratcliffe.
Okay, this agreement is only for the museum here in town at the information center.
This is a Rocky Museum agreement. We have other agreements with other museums that we don't directly operate, such as the Wheels of Time Museum in Caroline. But no, this specifically covers just the Rocky Museum.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Graham.
The museum on the weekend also did mention their appreciation to the county for the tree removal that was done for them to expand to allow their new exhibits that are currently being built. But I will make a motion that council approves and endorses for Reeves' signature the Rocky Mountain House Museum Operations Board Agreement effective January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2028.
Thank you for the motion. I will also say that Councillor Graham and I were part of that discussion and that budget discussion, and being as how the curator there has been with the museum for 25 years, she was looking to at least hire somebody on to be able to pass down that knowledge for the future too. So good on her for thinking about succession planning on that. That sometimes gets missed or it's too late. So, and especially when it's involving a lot of historical facts and historical knowledge, and again, to be preemptive, that was a part of that discussion of the county would support a 40,000, well, that small increase to that particular budget, this particular budget item. Go ahead, Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Reeve. I assume that the county has contributed 50% to the capital and the operations of the museum. But in the agreement that if this property were to be sold, the county would get only 20% of the proceeds. Is that reasonable?
Go ahead, Director Martinson.
In my opinion, yes, because the town came to the table owning the property. We didn't have to buy in to buy in the property. Now, we've made significant capital contributions to that property moving forward, but we never bought into the property to start with. So, man, we could say, well, 22% might be more. You know, we could probably split hairs, but in my opinion, that is a reasonable number. I would hope we would never do that. I would hope we would consider, public property that's that close to other public amenities as future public use. But again, it's our partner's ultimate decision. So, yeah, I think yes. Now, I would clarify, we don't contribute 50% to the museum capital as a whole. We contribute 50% of the capital deficit after donations, after revenues that they generate from users and things of that nature. So it's not a clean 50-50. They do get significant donations, whether it's of collections or work or things, and we only kind of pay 50% of what they need to finish a project or what they need after public contribution or user fee. So it's not an actual 50-50 of the total, it's a 50-50 of the deficit, if you will, if that's a appropriate way to describe it.
Right.
Hope that helps.
Thank you for that explanation.
Motion on the table to endorse, motion to approve and endorse the Reeve signature for the Museum Operations Board Agreement. Any other questions, comments? Not, call the question. All those in favor? And that motion's carried. Any other discussion in regards to the Town of Rocky Mountain House Library Board Agreement? If not, looking for a motion. Deputy Reeve?
Thank you, Reeve. I would make the motion that council approves and endorses for Reeve's signature the Town of Rocky Mountain House Library Board Agreement effective January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2028.
Thank you. Any discussion, comments in regards to the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that motion's carried too. Thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate that. Now moving on into our agenda, we're at Section 8, Reports. 8.1 is the CAO report for May 28th. Go ahead, CAO Emmons.
Thank you, Reeve, Deputy Reeve and Council. The May 28th, 2024 CAO report. First item, public notices. To better serve residences and create efficiency for administration, communication team has created a public notice page on the county's website. This page is home to information on public hearings, development permit approvals, subdivision application approvals, as well as proposed applications and bylaws. The next item is regarding the Lesaville wastewater treatment facility, the temporary suspension of external hauling. Immediate temporary 60-day halt to septage receiving at the Lesaville wastewater treatment facility has been initiated due to evidence of at least one load of damaging material to the Lesaville wastewater treatment facility. Based on previous work that both Clearwater County Public Works Operations Team and Magna Engineering Incorporated have been working through since March 8th of 2024. It seems apparent that there have been multiple incidents whereby unacceptable material has been discharged into the system and hence causing potential damage. A procedure has been implemented for cleaning out and flushing the treatment system through regular sewage treatment for the next 60 days. Once the system has been fully cleared of any impact from the damaging disposals, the septage receiving system will be reopened with additional operational procedures added for improved future policing of these type of events. As per Clearwater County's operating approval from Alberta Environment and Protected Areas, no industrial, construction, or hydrovac waste is permitted to be disposed into the wastewater treatment facility. In addition to not being permitted, these types of disposal events are highly damaging to the wastewater treatment equipment and will shorten the lifespan of the pumps, filters, and treatment components.
A question? Deputy Reeve?
Thank you, Reeve. It was my understanding that there was like a quite robust system of tracking companies or like, because there's a either keypad or a swipe, or so we understand who would have dumped the material. I can't seem to talk today, I'm sorry, for whatever reason. But is there a way then for us to go back? This would be an expensive undertaking, potentially damaging a brand new system. Is there a way to go back and actually charge people when they are putting non-compliant material into our system?
I would suggest, short answer, yes. The success of that, I would debate. You know, not every septage hauler knows what's in the tanks when they're going there. A lot of it's honor. You know, we ran into this type of issue, especially out west. The Nordic facility is very susceptible to this type. And I wouldn't call it because of negligence or not caring. It's the type of septage. The chemicals they use for the campgrounds out there are designed to kill the smell. Well, what kills the smell kills the bacteria. And when the septage haulers take that out of the campgrounds and put it into our system, it kills the good bacteria for treatability. So we have gone back and to the operators that have knowingly disregarded rules, we've denied access, and we still have operators on that list, but we've never gone after them in a punitive manner. You're welcome.
Councillor Ratcliffe, then I'll go to Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Reeve. My question again is along a similar line. I know when I've had my septic tank pump, the hauler says, is there any of this, and this in there? Because he can face a significant fine, taking it to the town site. Is that something we should look at implementing, at least publishing? Fines for hauling improper material, delivering improper material?
This council could pass a bylaw and do that. You know, there's also technologies available that could be augmented into the system. I've personally worked with them where you can isolate a load. It electronically does a lab test and it passes before it releases into your full system. And then that augments the swipe card, because not only do you know who, but you can literally say, yes, it was good, or no, it wasn't, before it gets into your system. With the current system, we can isolate who, but it goes directly into the system. So that technology is there. It's just expensive.
Yeah, I wonder how that cost would compare to the process of having to clean the system and, you know, put it back into normal service.
At the time of design, that system costs about $2.5 million.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you.
Councillor Graham?
Similar questions from me as well. I guess the only one that I have left is, should we expect a budget adjustment coming to council because of this?
At this time, I would suggest not.
Okay.
Magna has been great working with Clearwater County, stepping up and assisting staff. They've been working together at seeing this issue resolved positively. So no, not at this time.
Okay, thank you. That's great to hear that Magna's so awesome to deal with.
I have a question too in regards, if a known load is not, can't be dumped in either town of Rocky Mountain, House Lagoon, or in ours, or in Nordegg, like either Leslieville, where would that go? Where would that load go?
Truly, those loads go into any of those systems. I will say that the issue is dilution. A system can take a bad load, but when the percentages exceed, the town of Rocky has a bigger system, has more influent coming into it. There's more dilution. It can handle a bad load better than a brand new system coming onto line like Leslieville, and even back in the day, Nordegg. Nordegg, to this day, we haven't had a discharge, and that's 7 years, I believe now. It's starting to get to the point where we might discharge, so we're actually getting some volume there that will buffer a bad load. But on a brand new system, a bad load is even more damaging because of timing.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Councillor Ratcliffe?
One additional question. How long did it take from the time this material was delivered until it was detected, until we knew that we had a problem?
The lab testing actually shows, but our operators picked up on right away because the pump showed it. The pumps were vibrating. It showed in the actual system, so we didn't have to wait for the lab tests. It showed in the mechanics of the system. Typically, a lab test shows you when you got a bad load. It shows those peaks and valleys. But this time it was actually you recall that building we toured, Councillor Ratcliffe? Yeah. In there, the pipes were literally vibrating, trying to deal with the bad load and couldn't.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was fairly immediate.
Yes. And if it was in the lab test, how long would that be? A week. Few weeks? A week? Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Graham?
Just to ease any Leslieville residents' minds, the external hauling system is a different compartment than the system for the wastewater from Leslieville.
Absolutely.
So they have nothing to worry about.
Correct.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no lights, you can carry on.
And to clarify and add to Councillor Graham's, the part that, because it's the external hauling, the lagoon itself today is operating more like a traditional lagoon. It's just bypassing the environmental component, and because that's what's plugged off. So yes. You're welcome. Next item, Police Review Commission, invitation to participate in community stakeholder engagement. The Government of Alberta is looking for input on enhancing police oversight. Following the Police Amendment Act 2022, which established the Police Review Commission, they are looking for feedback on its operational framework. Join stakeholder sessions to share your views on ensuring public trust, prompt complaint resolution by the committee. Virtual sessions with the department representatives where there will be an opportunity to ask questions. There will be 3 focused conversations designed to gather perspectives on specific themes. Please feel free to register for the topics you connect with. The first one, June 21st, 10 to noon, accessibility and awareness building. A discussion about removing barriers to participation, making sure complainants stay informed, and developing satisfactory timelines. The second, June 25th, again, 10 a.m. to noon, alternative dispute resolution and restorative practices, exploring how alternative dispute resolution and restorative practices can be made available to people who want them. The third, June 26th, again 10 a.m. to noon, recruitment, onboarding, and training. This session will discuss how the committee can attract a diverse and representative workforce and what types of training will promote fairness, respect, and trust in the process. Registration is required, no cost to the participant.
I believe Alana has already sent out calendar invites for any of council that wish to join.
Okay. Next item, Connection 2024 National Hybrid Conference. Canadian Institute of Planners. Organized jointly by the CIP and the Provincial Level Institute. Connection 2024 is jointly organized with the Alberta Professional Planners Institute. This conference is 3 days of concurrent sessions, workshops, learning tours, and an exhibition space with a professional development lounge. The 2024 conference is scheduled for July 9th to the 11th in Edmonton. The complete schedule is available as shown here. Registration costs are as follows. As per council's policy, council authorization for attendance and remuneration is required.
Go ahead, Deputy Reeve.
Thank you, Reeve. I'm still working out what dates will work because it does coincide with a council day. But I would like the opportunity to go. North Saskatchewan Watershed is a part of this particular conference, and I'd like the opportunity to go and represent us and represent my position on North Saskatchewan Watershed. So I'd like to make the motion that council is approved to go and remunerated.
Okay. Motion for Councillor, Deputy Reeve Melhoff to attend. All those in favor? And the motion's carried. Thank you. Go ahead.
The next item is 2024 Summer Municipal Leaders Caucus. Alberta municipalities will hold various municipal leader caucuses on the following dates and locations as shown here. The summer caucuses will focus on smaller, more engaging conversations based on top-of-mind issues facing our communities. Registration costs for attending are $110 for in-person and $55 for virtual. Again, as per council's policy, a motion is required for attendance and remuneration.
Any interest in attending? I looked at their agendas and doesn't seem to be any on the rural focus at all at this time. So anyways, go ahead, Councillor Ratcliffe.
I'm just wondering if anyone has attended this before, has comments?
I know Councillor Melhoff and I attended the spring caucus, and there's usually a fall one, or their regular AB Munis conference is in September. So this is just more of a I'll just say that it's a lot of little bit follow-ups on stuff that's more contained, or more of an urban focus that has really nothing to do with us in this regard, so. That's short of a networking opportunity, but there again, these are all for next month, and I have a busy month, so. Anyways, if any counselor wants to attend, seeing none, okay, carry on.
The next item is CAPE, the Central Alberta Economic Partnership, is the 2024 Annual General Meeting. CAPE is hosting their annual general meeting on Friday, June 28th at the Disbury Golf Course from 8:30 in the morning to 12. The purpose of this event is to engage with fellow members, hear insightful discussions, and contribute to the future directions of CAPE itself. Registration for this event is $45 per person. Again, as per council's policy, motion for attendance and remuneration is required.
I will make that motion. CAPE is a very important organization to this, for us as a member. So having councillor attendance is important. So I'll make a motion to authorize council attendance and remuneration. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. That's carried. And actually, the follow-up, if you wouldn't mind, just giving just the brief paragraph, please, COMs.
Absolutely. Next item, CAPE, committee member nomination opportunities. On behalf of the CAPE, again, the Central Alberta Economic Partnership Board of Directors, nominations are open to one of 4 CAPE committees, including Transportation and Logistics, Agribusiness, Manufacturing, Emerging Technology, and Natural Resources and Tourism. Terms of reference for each of the committee nomination forms are attached. A complete committee nomination form can be found on the attached website or link.
Okay. Thank you for that. I did forward this email to the rest of council and to be published, or to be on your report today. In talking to the board chair, CAPE board chair, Mayor Barclay, couldn't think of her last name for a minute. So they open it up you see the terms of reference that are for each individual committee. They're always looking for applicants for staff or for councillors that wish to be on these particular committees. We have had our economic development officer as part of these. I believe he was on the tourism one. Yes, yes, he was a part of that particular committee. But anyways, I'm looking for, or I wanted to bring this forth for interest. And so anyways, go ahead, Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. It says nominations are open for one of 4. So which one is available? Or,
They're all available at this point.
There's just one spot available on all 4, or just the one of 4?
Yeah, it's a miss. It actually is open to, like, all 4 are open at this particular point in time.
Okay.
And yes, we don't on the nomination form, we don't necessarily need a motion of council.
Okay.
But if I want it brought forth, I wanted it brought forth so that if we did want to submit our nominations, that there would be and we were selected by the CAPE board, that there would be council remuneration automatically approved at that particular point in time. So go ahead.
Thank you, Reeve. And I think that it would be behoove of Clearwater County to be a part of any one of these subcommittees of CAPE. And I would make that motion. I would love to see Clearwater County represented, obviously in agriculture, transportation, all of them. And if you look at Nord Ag tourism is becoming a huge part of our world. So I think that it would be valuable to have Clearwater County represented on these boards.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Ratcliffe.
My question has been partly answered, but I wanted to ask you as our representative to CAPE, how important it would be to have a council member on some or all of these committees.
Actually, if you have a desired interest to serve, I would absolutely encourage you to submit your nomination form to Kate, to Tracy, and so that it can be considered. I think any one of us that would like to throw our names up. Look, of course, look at your schedule, because it can be one of those things where, I know I have served on the Transportation Logistics Committee in the past, and I know that was like an every second month type commitment. Sometimes you could attend virtually, sometimes it was in person, depending on what. I have no, I couldn't tell you what the tourism and committee, how often they met, but going forward, again, it's just, they would like the nominations in sooner so that they could make that announcement on June 10th, and then I'll, of course, introduce the committees at their AGM at the end of June. So that's why they would prefer the nomination forms come in quickly, so that way they could get their committees started and going forward. So if you have a desired interest, again, I was hoping to, you don't need a council motion to put your nomination in for these committees, because I believe we are members already of CAPE, and it's just in regards to the remuneration. CAPE does not remunerate, it would come through this council for our remuneration, your attendance on these councils. Okay. So that's for clarification.
Thank you.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion on? Oh, yes, you did, sorry. Councillor, or Deputy Reeve Melhoff made the motion to put forth your nomination forms to the Executive Director, Tracy. Any other comments or questions in this agenda item? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you. And carry on.
Concludes the CAO report.
All right. Any other questions for CAO Emmons? Go ahead, Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Reeve. On the action tracking list, I noticed that the dust control policy is marked complete, and I have expressed concerns that that is not.
We have, at the May 14th meeting, we made motions to that effect, did we not?
Well,
Councillor Ratcliffe?
the information that was presented to council did not really follow the motion or provide the information the motion requested.
I did not understand that there was more. You were requesting at that time more information?
Yeah, different information.
Pardon me?
Different information.
Different information? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Graham.
From my recollection, Councillor Radcliffe, you had withdrawn your motion at the time for more information when we did, so we did pass the policy, and in my mind it was completed, but I remember you had made a motion and then you chose to withdraw it, and I understood if you wanted to do something further, you're gonna do a notice of motion.
No, the original presentation did not match the objectives and the spirit of the original motion.
But we went through the whole policy and we made some changes, and I think it's accurate that it was completed from my understanding, because I remember you were asking for information that we had already received in strategic planning. So I think that's why it was you withdrew. I thought that's why you withdrew your motion, but then from my understanding, you were gonna go through notice of motion if you didn't feel it was enough.
That was for additional information.
In my mind, it was completed.
Okay, as Ed, the person making the motion, it's not. So I would like that to remain in progress.
Perhaps we could have have an opportunity here to bring forth, I'm just looking here in regards to the, because we just approved, I know it was a very robust discussion both times, or the times that we have, and the council has actually discussed that and the motion was passed. So if there was something more that you were, maybe the spirit of the motion was not, maybe the motion was not intended. I'm trying to go here to my the draft here. So the motion was to administration to bring revised dust control policy for councils for consideration, and we did consider those policies. And was there more to that other than the spirit?
The description of the information to be provided. And I did send an email to everyone listing that.
I thought those were already covered through our strategic planning, as Councillor Graham has indicated. Looking for discussion on this. Go ahead,
Well,
Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
I don't think that Councillor
Oh,
was
sorry.
done,
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, we have put a lot of time into it around the information that was provided. And I'm not suggesting that we go into that further at this time.
Okay.
But just that, the motion itself has not been completed.
Okay. Go ahead, Tracy, Ms. Haight.
In the May 14th regular meeting minutes, the motion that council approves the amended dust suppression policy as presented was passed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I think I understand where you're trying to go, because I agree. In particular, multi-lots, Clearwater Estates, Nordegg in particular, we need to look at solutions for some of those areas that rely on SB 90 as their form of dust suppression. And I think that we need to figure out a way to prevent those areas from becoming pavement in our budget, because if we don't have some type of solution like SB 90, I think that pavement will end up being the next solution, and that is, I think, a financial burden that we don't want to see on our budget lines. But perhaps a notice of motion discussing that specifically, multi-lot subdivision piece, as SB 90 being the higher quality dust suppression for those communities might be in order. But I could be wrong. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe that's a solution going forward. Just throwing out a suggestion.
Yes.
Councillor Ratcliffe? Does that answer your question?
I don't know where to go from here. My objection is just to marking it as complete.
I'll have to go back and re-listen to that, because I thought during the discussion of the May 14th meeting, we did discuss in regards to, yes, the subdivisions end of things, and that I thought that was opened up, that it still could be privately done by a private contractor at this point in time. So we left it right open. We never closed it off at all. It was just allowing a private contractor to come in and put that dust suppressant according to whatever standards that we have. We weren't just going to allow them to do that. So there's that opportunity as well. All right. So as duly noted, that Councillor Ratcliffe feels that the status should be in progress. Maybe I would offer that further notice of motion may come forward and specific to that, and that if that's what you specific to the information or in that regards, because as a broad, it is a broad action item there And if there was something missed in that, then maybe you should bring it forward as a notice of motion with the specifics that you were wanting, because I agree with Councillor Graham. I think that's where, when we left that motion or left that item in last meeting, I thought we were finished unless you were gonna bring forth another notice of motion in regards to what specific information you were going to bring forward or were going to request, so. Okay, go ahead,
Can
Councillor
be-
Ratcliffe.
If that can be left as in progress, I'm fine with that proposal.
So according to due process, with this, would we require a motion to change that, CO Emmons?
Yes.
Okay.
From an administrative perspective, asked, answered, all the information was presented. Council even approved a policy from this side of the table, it's addressed and done. If it's not, then administration would need direction from council as to, are we bringing back the new policy? And what council needs from administration so we can provide it for you. Right now, for us, it's a task addressed. We have a policy adopted. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So Councillor Ratcliffe, are you going to make the motion then to change to in progress, and then I would say offer a notice of motion? Go ahead, before you answer, Councillor Northcott.
I just, for simplicity, it could be, say, complete at this point in time, but if you were to bring back a notice of motion, it could be revisited at that time with the details in the notice of motion, if I'm understanding that correctly. So at this point in time, it could be complete, but it's not in a steel vault that can never be reopened again, but we could revisit that again with a notice of motion with more details and maybe amend that policy with some benefits that way. That's my thoughts.
Yep. Okay. Councillor Ratcliffe?
I find Councillor Northcott's proposal to be the best way moving forward at this time.
Okay. All right. So we need a motion to accept the CO report as presented. Okay, thank you, Councillor, Deputy Reeve Melhoff. All those in favor? And that's carried, thank you. All right, moving on to capital project status update report for May 2024. Questions, or do we want CO Emmons to go through the report? We're just gonna ask questions? Okay, just ask questions, I get the nod. Okay, go ahead, Deputy Reeve.
Thank you, Reeve. My question was with regard to the hamlet of Leslieville's Community Futures development right in the hamlet there. When are we hoping to do community outreach for that particular project? I know that was proposed. Are we hoping to do it this summer? Will it unfortunately get delayed into fall? Like, when are we hoping to actually do the community outreach?
My understanding with Ag and Community is they are looking at the fall.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions in regards to the capital project status in the report? Go ahead, Councillor Ratcliffe.
Just going through all the work happening at Nordig, I'm wondering what the benefit is of the realignment of the Shunda Creek Road intersection. That seems like something that's been on the radar for some time.
The benefits to doing it?
Yes.
We're always to define a true intersection. Right now with that just over quarter mile, I'll say correction line for lack of better words, creating a true intersection is safer and deals with some visibility issues, sightline issues as well.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
I have another.
You bet.
regarding the Nordegg water meters, I've been asking why the conversion to meters is going so slowly. And people are afraid that their water bills will go up significantly. I know different cities I've lived in where we switched from flat rate to metered water, that my water bill went down 75% to reflect actual usage. Do we have anything like that for Nordegg that, you know, so we can move on with finishing this meter project?
I can check with Public Works and see how it's progressing and email back council.
Okay, just as a change between flat rate and metered comparison to calm those fears.
I know the mathematical formula is based on average use, and the expectation is they won't see an increase, but metering is based on usage. So if you have individuals that are accustomed to a flat rate and water their lawn every day in the rain, they might see an increase. You know, because when you're paying a flat rate, you tend to be a little more liberal. But it is mathematically based on an average quantity, and it was not intended to have an increase. I can answer that. Why the meters aren't being installed when they expect them, I guess, is the best way I can answer. I will check and get back to council.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions in regards to the capital project? Councillor Lai.
Maybe just relating to Councillor Ratcliffe's question as well, do we anticipate with the meters coming online that we will have less inflow because of that consciousness of water usage? And I know that water inflow into our sewage system there is probably lower than its designed amount. Do we have any anticipated fears or concerns around the metering accentuating a problem with the Nordegg sewage system?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Lawhead, and at this time, no. If this was 5 years ago, absolutely. But we're finally getting a volume there. So you're right, people will be, I would project, more conscious of how much water they're using when it's metered. But because of that, there's going to be also less waste as well, because it's always a percentage of. So we aren't projecting any negative impact there.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Any further questions to the capital project status update? Not looking for a motion. Councillor Graham, thank you. To accept for information. Call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Moving on to the Clearwater Regional Fire Rescue Services and Community Peace Office report for April. Any questions? Not looking for a motion. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Not a question, and I will happily make the motion in a minute. Just a thank you from the 4-H group for the extinguisher training that our fire service put on for them. It was fabulous and a great safety opportunity for that group. So that was very much appreciated, and I'll make the motion to accept both the Clearwater Regional Fire and the Community Peace Officer reports for information.
Thank you. No other comments, questions on the motion? I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Moving on to the financial report. The financial report for the capital summary from January to April 2024. I believe we just kind of went through that agenda item before with Ms. Serhan. Looking for a motion to accept the report. Thank you, Councillor Lawhead. Any other questions?
Didn't we accept that? Didn't we do a motion for accepting that?
It is condensed. This is the actual, yeah. she pulled both. Anyways, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Also, the 8.6, the financial report for operational. That report again was included in item 7.3 as part of an overall discussion. There's no other questions or comments. Looking for a motion to accept the financial report operational January to April. Thank you, Councillor Graham. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Moving on to the Rocky Mountain House RCMP Provincial and Community Quarterly Report, 8.7. That came a little bit late, so we missed the last meeting, so, but always nice to have that report from the Rocky Mountain House Detachment. Looking for a motion to accept for information. Councillor Ratcliffe. Call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Moving on to 8.8, the Rocky Mountain House Airport Briefing for April. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. Just a question to refresh my memory. The brush clearing is out for quotes. I thought that we had discussed trying to find some collaboration between municipalities, and that's a service that we already have, that we do on many of our roadways, etc., that we were gonna help do that. Maybe I misunderstood in our ICC meeting.
CO Emmons.
No misunderstanding. At that level, we contract out ours as well. So this isn't a hand for our forces to collaborate on, but the larger brushing, we contract out, and I could name the contractors, but so it really didn't pan out.
No problem.
Okay.
I'll accept for information, sorry.
Okay, and you'll accept for information. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Call the question. All those in favor? That motion's carried. 8.9, the STARS Impact Report from 2023. Any comments, questions? If not, a motion to accept for information. Okay, Councillor Graham. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, before that.
I'm in favor. My question
Yeah.
is, what's our annual contribution to STARS?
23.
Yeah, per capita. It averages around that 23.
Okay.
Thousand.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. I believe she comes and does a presentation to us usually early in the new year, January, February in there, so, yeah. Yes, exactly, so. Okay, so I call the question. All those in favor of the STARS report? Good, thank you, just for double check. Moving on to 8.10, the verbal council reports. I'll look to Division 2 to start. Go ahead, Councillor Graham.
Right, it's another long one, sorry guys. So the first thing, there was the leadership prayer breakfast. It was very well attended. I believe Councillor Radcliffe, Reeve Swanson, Councillor Lougheed and I were the councillors there. Met some really nice people and some really nice things were said, so that was a very positive morning. The Maylong check stop, I think it was the same people at that, actually. We attended that. Thank you to the Ag Services for preparing everything for us. It was all right there ready to be put in and hooked up. So that was good. Lots of vehicles towed that night. But I don't think they caught a single drunk driver. So that's nice because that's always my biggest concern on the long weekend. So good job to people for not doing silly things, I guess. There were some pretty fancy units going by too that night. The Bighorn Rodeo Parade, it was also very well attended. I think everyone was at that one? Or no, not Councillor Northcott. And Councillor Cermak was manning his traffic. But it was a really fun day. I was very slow at handing out candy. Deputy Reeve Melhoff did a great job handing out candy though. So I have a new approach for the next parade for handing it out. I pass it, and Deputy Reeve Milhoff like tosses it, so I'm gonna try her approach next time, so I don't hold things up. And thank you to Amanda Ag Services and anyone who helped her for decorating the new float. We had a Sasquatch on it, and I thought it looked great. And thank you to Curtis and his son for doing a great job of driving the float. We had the Land Use Bylaw Public Advisory Committee meeting. Once again, 100% attendance, which I think is remarkable. There were great, robust conversations that happened on all the different topics and different perspectives on these topics. And I look forward to the next meeting. And then right after that, we had our Land Use Bylaw Steering Committee meeting. Very positive, I think, is that it was a very similar perspective in this group as it was in the Public Advisory Committee. So I think that we're on the right track with the topics we've discussed. The Nordegg Discovery Center grand opening, another very well attended event. Shout out to Community Services Whitney and Annie for making that happen. I think we were still a couple years away from it happening before, and Community Services pulled it all together, and I think they've done a remarkable job. It's a great exhibit out there, and the community seems extremely excited about it. Had a Rocky Library Board meeting. I was helping with the Cleaver mini show for the South Club, so I did not participate in the highway cleanup, but other people did. They did two areas, so that's great. And they've also received some wonderful donations lately. There, on the walking path in town, there is a new free little library, and it was installed along the walking path, as I just said, in memory of Sarah, who was a young lady that we lost far too soon in this community. The family asked for donations to be made to the library, and so the library worked in conjunction with her family in West Central High School and put up this free little library, which I think is a great thing. And I think that's just a really cool idea in general, but a wonderful memorial for the young girl. Hopefully the community is respectful to it and does not wreck it. The library's front entrance has a local artist on display, which they always have, and the display's there till the end of June, so I would recommend everyone goes in and looks at it. We have some great local talent. The summer reading club preparations are underway, and they're going to be doing presentations at the elementary school soon to inform the children of the summer reading club. And library will once again be on market on Main this year. Amalgamation went well. We concluded the negotiations and are now doing the next steps, so that's available on YouTube. The Rocky Museum Days, Reeve Swanson and I attended that. They are in the progress of putting up their new log house, which was donated, I believe, by the Brown family, and it looks incredible so far. They've as it happens with construction, they've hit some obstacles, but they have jumped over those and they're continuing the work. And thank you to MP Soroka and MLA Nixon for attending. We had the Clearwater Rocky ICC yesterday. That went very well, I thought. I think we've got a really good group there. We're good at talking to each other and working through things, which is great. And on a personal note, I was asked to be the barn boss for the Rocky 4-H show this year, which was one job in 4-H I hadn't done before, so that was interesting. Congratulations to all the participants on a successful day. Thank you to Director Martinson he was the first one there with the scale in the morning and helped with weigh-in and then announced for the day, and Jill Tennant we kind of teamworked the barn bossing because I think she's going to take over next year because my niece is a cleaver, so I can't really do it anymore. And thank you to the South members and Ali Pals, who is also a county employee, for helping with float out. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? No, moving on. Go ahead, Councillor Lawye.
And I think Councillor Graham covered many of the events very, very well that I attended well, so I won't really mention other than starting with prayer in the last couple of weeks was great. It means a lot to know that the community recognizes the leadership that's within that community and is willing to offer their support in an event like that. And then, of course, I'm ending with amalgamation, with the potential report for our minister going forward with the amalgamation with Caroline is a nice period at the end of the sentence. I hope for success there as we move forward, and I think that would conclude my report.
Thank you, Councillor Lawye. Go ahead, Deputy Reeve Milhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. Councillor Graham did a fabulous, robust report. I don't think I have very many things to add. My life has been fairly full of 4-H. So I have one more achievement day to get through for the equine 4-H group that I'm actually hosting at my farm this weekend. So still a lot of work to do for that, but it's not as much work as the 4-H show and sale. I thank you for doing Barn Boss. And we had the female show on Saturday and clean up at the arena in Caroline, and it's genuinely just a fabulous event. All of the other things that I attended, you had already commented on. The Norday Discovery Center, amazing, and my daughter is so excited. Her class is going out there on Thursday to go see it, and she's just thrilled that she'll get to see the museum and the mine, and it's going to be great. Rather than going into everything else, I will leave your wonderful presentation rather than adding a whole bunch to it. I would like to make a motion though that Councillor Graham be remunerated for the 4-H show and sale day, being the barn boss. It's a lot of work, and she represented the county well and did a fabulous job. So I would like to motion that she be remunerated for that very busy day.
Councillor Graham?
I very much appreciate this, and I know we talked about it at the show and sale as well. I very much appreciate it. I'm extremely happy to donate my time to 4-H. I think my perspective is that I had those opportunities as a kid, that I got to learn these things and experience 4-H because of people volunteering their time. So I think I owe it to the next generation. So, well, I very much appreciate it. It's not necessary. Thank you though.
I already made the motion.
Okay, cool.
There you go. Motion on the floor to remunerate Councillor Graham for her day at 4-H as the barn boss for Clearwater County. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Ratcliffe.
I'm not sure how to vote on this. As Councillor Graham expressed well that she was declining.
Yeah, and that's fine. A motion on the floor. Go ahead, Deputy Reeve Mello.
She can still choose to not put in for remuneration, but I think it's important that historically we've done it as a staff member. Clearwater County has had a staff member, and that staff member would have been paid for the day. Clearwater County is a huge supporter of 4-H, and that staff member would have been paid for their efforts. So I think that it'd be appropriate that Councillor Graham is as well, and it's up to her whether she puts it in on her timesheet or not. But
We also can't charge 18 hours.
yeah, it was an 18-hour day. You also cannot charge for 18 hours, but I think that alone proves how much work it is. I was there in the beginning of the day and almost to the end. There was a Melhoff there most of the day.
There you go. All right, motion on the, there you go. Yes, absolutely. Big day. Motion on the floor to remunerate, again, Councillor Graham for her day at the Rocky 4-H Club on May 23rd. It was the 23rd. All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Those opposed? Its motion is carried. Motion is carried. There you go. Did you have anything further?
That's it. She covered everything else.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Northcott.
I don't have a whole pile to report here, it'll be quick, but just two of the highlights. I did attend the Land Use Bylaw Steering Committee virtually. One of the big discussions there was the number of CCANs to be allowed. No number was really chosen, but it was a long discussion about it. And also for the Amalgamation Committee meeting, I attended that as well virtually, and the recommendation for the highlight was to have a 8-member interim council. That's what I kind of got out of it for the bigger highlights out of the discussions, but that's my councillor report.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Not. Go ahead, Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Reeve. I felt I had been busy until I heard Councillor Graham's report. I did attend the leadership prayer breakfast. It was interesting to note that the challenge we face as politicians are so similar to the challenges that have been faced over time. I also attended the May-long Czech Stop Barbecue. Chef Swanson was really on her game that day, and seems to be a prerequisite. It was cold, wet, windy, and miserable. Although the officers did appreciate having some hot food. I also attended the Big Horn Rodeo Parade, always a great turnout in Caroline. I chose to hold a fort on the float and let the younger counselors walk along and hand out the candy. The Nordic Discovery Center grand opening, to the hundreds of people watching, this is very well done. And you should take the opportunity to go out and tour the museum, the pie shops, the ice cream shops, and the gift shops as well. This is going to be, I think, the pride of the community. It's just so well done. With other counselors, I attended the Cape Main event last Thursday. And I thought I had my notes with me from that, but there were 4, and I can only remember 3 items that the ministers brought up. The Premier and 7 other ministers were there, I think. One was a program with some funding for regional airport development. Another topic brought up was promotion of upgrading of agricultural produce, of moving more toward food exports than just basic agricultural meat and grains. And the third item that I felt was also appropriate for us was the move to implement as credit programs exposure to different trades through high school. These are all issues that we have discussed around this table, so I am hoping that the province is going to start engaging with municipalities on how we can partner to implement these programs. And lastly, I attended the amalgamation meeting where we're near the end of negotiations on this. I would like to say that this is a new day dawning in the county. So all the participants should be proud of the progress we have made. That is my report.
Thank you. Any comments, questions for Councillor Ratcliffe? Seeing none. For myself, going back to May 15th, yes, I participated with the prayer breakfast. That evening, I went in for the annual celebration review of the Sea Cadets, the performance review. That was very interesting. That was a 3.5-hour enlightenment for me. Great group of young leaders in that regards. Nice to see. Yes, cold check of the check stop requirement. It must be cold and windy and possibly signs of snow. I think we did well to keep the barbecue going. Thank goodness for we didn't have to send have an actual fire. We could press the electric button to get the propane to start. That was good. May 18th, the Caroline Parade was great. Nice to see the full Main Street. Was awesome. I left to go to the Rocky Gun Club. I was invited by the board there along with MP Soroka and MLA Nixon in regards, they're looking at doing some expansion and looking for, because it's on public crown land, they're looking for approvals to create a long range section alley, and so that will be going through their ministerial approval on that end of things. But it was nice to walk through. They were having a gopher varmint shootout that day, so there was lots of popping happening. You had to wear your glasses and your earplugs, but it was nice to see. It was cool, that continued to be cool that day. The grand reopening the following Wednesday, again, everybody's talked about the Discovery Center in Nordegg. It was an honor to have Chief Clifford Poussette and Chief Aaron Young in attendance as well, to hear them and to watch them go through the Discovery Center and offer their comments as well. It was very, very good that day. Yeah, well attended. On the 23rd, we had the Rocky Seniors Housing in the morning. We're back up to 7 empty rooms there, but mostly because of people moving to higher care. They can only stay there for so long and then they have to move to higher care. So we had 3 move-outs, but there is a wait list, and usually come fall, we usually get, things get filled up pretty fast there. That evening, I attended the Cape Big event with Councillor Ratcliffe and Councillor Cermak. We sat with the Ag Minister at our table, along with Mark Daines from Innisfil, the Daines Auction Market, and Agri Futures, and a realtor from Bicycle. It was great table talk, I thought, with that. So we had the Premier in attendance, Matt Jones, Minister Lagrange, Minister Dreeshen, and Speaker Cooper. They're in attendance, along with Minister RJ. I always butcher his last name, but anyways, Sigurdsson. He wanted to rename himself, instead of the Minister of Ag, to be called the Minister of Food and Food Sovereignty. So that got a chuckle out of the audience. But yes, the theme was economic development in central Alberta, which was great. Amalgamation on the 24th, of which I'm looking forward to the draft report on June 14th. Councillor Graham and I went to the museum again for the soft opening of the Brown Log home. They are now expecting the Chester barn to be relocated there as well in the coming, either this fall or early next year, but they have to move a fence again because they don't have room. So yes, they're going to have to move it further south towards the Helen Henley Park, towards that gazebo. So again, create more space, and it's wonderful to see these donations coming to our community. On the this morning, I did do the ICC with Councillor Graham and Deputy Reeve Melhoff yesterday, and then this morning I was on the B94 radio. We were talking about the county citizen satisfaction survey that's out, and the deadline is June 5th. Trying to encourage our residents to fill that out, to bring forth that information, not only for this council, but also for future councils, because we all know that through budget decisions, they impact not only today, but 15, 20 years from now and longer. So it can be filled out online. If you need a paper copy, please drop in. And going forward, I think that will bring back some information. There's opportunity to give detailed comments as well, if you haven't had a look at it already. So with that, yes, if there's anybody else that has any other questions or comments, seeing none, look for a motion to accept the council reports. Councillor Lougheed, all those in favor? And that motion's carried. Thank you. On the agenda is 8.11. I've asked Alana to put the council remuneration statement on there, just for a quick discussion. Although we don't have any to approve today, I would like this council to have an opportunity, perhaps in July, that we have a workshop in our remuneration to discuss again. It's a year in advance. Maybe we can talk about the policy and the remuneration procedure. I have a few ideas for myself in regards to that. So I will be either putting forth a notice of motion or asking administration to have a workshop on our council remuneration at that particular point in time. So it's not imminent because we have full, like I say, full schedules for June, but we should be discussing that before the fall, in my opinion. So I'll watch for an email on that coming forth. Then moving on to section 9, correspondence. We have the Rural Health Week in May, or this week here, May 27th to June 1st. I believe Alana has put out some calendar invites for different events that are going on this week, and I would suggest that maybe a motion if we wanted to participate in some of those events. If we wanted to be remunerated, maybe a motion should be in order. Go ahead, Councillor Graham.
I'm not available for any of the events, but I'll happily make the motion for anyone who is.
Okay. Motion for council remuneration for any to attend any of the events. All those, I'll call the question, all those in favor? And that is carried. Any other agenda items that council wishes to? Otherwise, we have one other item, number 10. Oh, Councillor Northcott.
Make the motion for adjournment.
Motion for adjournment, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Hay.
Did I miss the motion to receive correspondence?
Oh, thank you for that. Motion to receive correspondence, okay, Councillor Lougheed. All those in favor? And that motion's carried. Motion for adjournment. Is that it? Yes.
Okay, now I will make the motion for adjournment again.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Northcott. All those in favor? And that's carried, thank you. And we'll see you in June.